It was August 22nd, 1191. A Crusader army, commanded by Richard the Lionheart of England, set out from the recently captured city of Acre, embarking on a crucial march toward the southern coastal city of Jaffa. This campaign followed the pivotal capture of Acre earlier that year, a significant foothold for the Crusaders in the Holy Land. Richard was acutely aware of the strategic importance of Jaffa. Before any attempt to take Jerusalem could be made, the Crusaders needed control of Jaffa's port to secure a vital supply line. However, the city presented a challenge. Just a year prior, in the summer of 1190, Saladin, the formidable leader of the Ayyubid Sultanate, had deliberately destroyed Jaffa's fortifications to deny its use to the Crusaders. Reclaiming it would be no small feat. Richard's army was a formidable force, consisting of approximately 2,000 mounted knights and between 10,000 and 12,000 men-at-arms. This included spearmen, archers, and crossbowmen, a balanced and disciplined force prepared for the rigors of battle. But Richard was not only a warrior king, he was also a meticulous strategist. Knowing the hardships his army would face, he planned the march with painstaking care. The Arabian summer sun was relentless. Temperatures soared, and the risks of heat exhaustion were ever present. Richard set a deliberate pace, marching only 5 to 6 kilometers per day to prevent his men from succumbing to fatigue. The memory of the Crusaders' devastating defeat at the Battle of Hattin 4 years earlier loomed large in his mind. On that occasion, exhaustion and disorganization had led to a catastrophic massacre. Richard's troops marched in strict formation, their right flank protected by the sea, ensuring they could not be outflanked by Saladin's forces. To further reduce risks, the army marched only in the cooler hours of the morning and made frequent stops near sources of water. A fleet of supply ships shadowed the army along the coast, providing essential resources and a refuge for the wounded. Saladin, a brilliant military commander, was well aware of Richard's movements. Determined to halt the Crusader advance and protect Jerusalem, Saladin mobilized an army of around 25,000 soldiers. His forces were a diverse mix: Bedouin skirmishers, Sudanese archers, Turkish horse archers, and heavily armored cavalry, including the elite Mamluk warriors. The army was divided into three components: left and right flanks and a central corps, with Saladin himself commanding from the center, surrounded by his bodyguard and accompanied by the thunderous rhythm of kettle drummers. By early September, Richard's army had reached the forested region near Arsuf, a rare wooded area in central Palestine. The forest stretched along the coast for over 12 miles, offering Saladin the perfect terrain to stage an ambush. On September 7th, as Richard's forces emerged from their camp, enemy scouts were visible in all directions, signaling that Saladin's entire army was nearby. Saladin, recognizing the opportunity, ordered his forces to advance and launch a full-scale attack on the Crusaders. The Muslim forces emerged from the cover of the woods and began harassing the Crusader column with volleys of arrows. Saladin hoped to provoke Richard into breaking his defensive formation, which would leave his army vulnerable to a decisive assault. Richard's army maintained strict discipline under relentless harassment. The infantry formed a protective wall at the front, with archers and crossbowmen positioned behind them. The mounted knights and the baggage train remained at the rear, shielded by the infantry. Despite the chaos, Richard resisted calls from his knights to charge the enemy. He knew that breaking formation would play directly into Saladin's hands. The Crusaders endured wave after wave of arrow volleys, holding their ground under Richard's steady leadership. The turning point came unexpectedly. The Hospitaller Knights, stationed at the rear of the formation, could no longer endure the relentless skirmishes. Overcome by frustration and fury at seeing their comrades picked off by enemy arrows, they broke ranks and charged directly into the Muslim forces. Their commander, Master Garnier, quickly ordered a full charge to support his men. Soon, other Crusader units joined the attack. The sudden charge shattered the rhythm of Saladin's assault. The Crusaders' counterattack, though unplanned, was devastatingly effective. The disciplined Crusader lines surged forward, routing many of Saladin's troops and encircling his main force, where the Sultan himself was guarded by his elite Mamluk cavalry. As the battle turned against him, Saladin managed to rally his forces and organize a retreat into the hills of Arsuf. His army, scattered and demoralized, suffered heavy casualties. Richard, wary of overextending his exhausted troops, chose not to pursue the fleeing enemy. The Battle of Arsuf was a significant victory for Richard the Lionheart. It demonstrated his tactical brilliance and the discipline of his army under pressure. The Crusaders continued their march, eventually capturing Jaffa, securing a critical foothold for future operations against Jerusalem. For Saladin, the battle was a setback, but it was far from the end of his resistance. The clash at Arsuf remains one of the most celebrated encounters of the Third Crusade, highlighting the skill and determination of two legendary leaders in their quest for dominance in the Holy Land.